This video is brought to you by Letsynthesize Academy, the #1 place for practice-oriented courses for serious music producers.
Yo, the Larsen here, welcome to the newest Synthesize Sunday episode, and today I want to talk about a highly requested topic, how to make your sounds fatter without a fat rack. So we are going from this sound into this, or even this, or even this. So like always, you can grab these presets from my Patreon below and click here for my academy. I have lots of very cool dubstep, drum bass and other courses, but right now let's jump into it. Okay, so long story short, on the Letsynthesize Patreon, there was a guy who asked me, hey, how to make that sound that Eliminate showed us in the break shoot video. I said shoot because I wanted to stay family friendly. And yeah, I imagined this nice picture about dads. Hey, honey, come and kids, sit down and let's watch a new Let's Synthesize video. That's basically what every family does on Sunday evenings. So yeah, Eliminate talks about that there was this Virtual Riot preset that he used in his song, but it sounded completely different and it was very, very strong. So the dude asked me on my Patreon, Let's Synthesize Patreon, how the dude could have made it. And I was like, okay, this is a great question, let's find out. So this was the original sound. It's a cool sound, but as you can hear, it's not very strong. And I checked his video, and I saw that the wavetables were different and the process was a little different, but he never showed us how or what he made with that sound. So I was able to come up with this sound. And of course it is still different because he layered up with a different preset, but I think the fundamental of the sound in break shoot, it is very similar. So I was like, okay, I got lots of questions about how to make stronger basses inside Serum or inside any synth without using a fat track or something. So without changing the preset from this sound, I was able to come up with this sound. So as you can hear, it's a lot fatter. It's a lot wider and everything sounds like if it was compressed a lot heavier, but actually it is not. So let me show you what I did. So this was the original sound. And I instantly heard that the low mid range is quite empty. So if you want to create fat sound, you definitely want to treat the mid loads very smart. And this HP filter or HN filter, I think needs to be tweaked a little by pulling back to the point where you can hear the mid-low range is a lot fatter and a lot more prominent. And maybe adding some more drive to it can create even more harmonics that can come handy if you want to create fat sound. Okay, so this is the first step, so tweak the filters a little to create more mid-low energy. So our goal is not to sound boomy, but a lot stronger. Let's go to the effects, and I don't need right now the delay, the reverb, and I think the filter is something we can tweak, and I think the hyper dimension is not necessary again. Alright, so let's try to add a little more distortion to this thing. And what I love to do is add a little more on the low band. So this will create a little more on the mid lows too. That is great because we're not going to have only sub frequencies on the sub basically, but a lot more and a lot stronger lows and mid lows at the same time. Okay, so I want to go back and tweak the FM a little. Because we tweaked the filters and I wanted to keep the higher frequencies, the higher tones a little too. I'm pulling back the mix on the reverb filter because I don't want to sound too washed out. I want to hear some extra heavy bass from this preset. Also with the delay, I want to add some resonation. So crank up the feedback and play around with the delay time. This can add some extra fatness to the sound. Right, and there is another cool trick. Just use unison. The phase random on both of the oscillators are pulled back to 0. So this is a good starting point. And on the modulator, if you add 2 extra voices and detune them heavily, it can change the sound how it FMs oscillator A. So it is a little higher, a little more FME, but with 2 extra voices. You can add more voices that would make an illusion that the sound is bigger and fatter without washing it out too much. So only 2 extra voices on the modulator can create some extra weirdness. Now the cool part here is you can add the synchronization mode to create different tones. But this won't make the sound fatter and bigger, just different. I'm playing around with the modulation on the HP filter or HN filter to keep the top tone of the sound, but also adding a little more energy on the lows and mid lows. So this was originally, this is what we have right now. Maybe add back the rear filter a little more. So as you can hear how fatter and how bigger the whole sound is, simply by just tweaking the HN filter, playing around with the FM, adding 2 extra voices on the FM modulator, adding a little more distortion on the whole sound in the effect, and tweaking the low band on the OTT. I also added some resonation using the delay, but that is just a tiny thing. It won't make the sound like really fatter, just a little different. As a final touch, to keep the mid-lows controlled, maybe an EQ8 can come handy. So you can see how this mid-range, the 300-400 Hz area, is a lot fatter and a lot stronger than in the original sound was. And especially if we tweak the wavetables, you can even create a lot fatter sounds. So this is what I made from the original Virtual Riot preset. That is, I would say, very similar to the original Eliminate sound. So this thing. So once again, play around with the HP filter. If you are using bandpass filter, try to go a little lower, even with your modulation or with the cutoff frequency, add a little more resonance to it. So this is 2. Try to play around with the voices in the modulator. Adding 2 voices is more than enough. Play around with distortion, so creating a little more harmonics on the mid-lows and on the mids to make it fatter. And also some equalization can come handy. But doing it on the original with sound, let's go to the fix. Going a little closer to the mid and mid-low range. So right now we are at around 2000 Hz, but previously it was at around 3000 Hz if I remember well. Right, so if you want to grab these presets, go to my Patreon and check my academy for awesome start to finish courses. If you want to dig deeper into production knowledge, see you guys next time. Peace.